Thank you very much. I am Merrica Fernando from the Faculty of Science, University of Colombo, and let me introduce my topic to you, saving energy and the environment. What do we know of hotel industry? So, talking about the tourism industry and energy use, globally, tourism is one of the largest pillars of global economy, contributing to around 10.4% of the global GDP and providing around 10% of the total employments globally. And when it comes to Sri Lanka, the situation is no difference with a contribution of 4.9% to the local GDP and giving around foreign exchange earnings of $4.38 billion. So, but on the other hand, the impacts caused by the tourism industry are also huge, with the huge consumption of natural resources. Hotels are among the highest energy intensive sectors of the country, and it causes much environmental degradation. So increasing awareness and changing consumption patterns have caused a lot of problems to the industry, and therefore we have to hotel industry has to go for better practices in order to reduce the negative impacts of this growth. So, talking about that, let me move on to my objectives. So, the objective is to investigate, compare, and present in-depth analysis of energy use and energy-related environmental performances of six star-rated hotels of Sri Lanka. Talking about energy consumption more, let's talk about tourism, international tourism. So hotels are ranked among the largest energy consumers in built environment sector, and globally they are responsible for around 5% of the total carbon dioxide emissions, and they are among the highest absolute emitters of non-residential building sector. And also in Sri Lanka, with the rapid increase of Sri Lankan tourism after the 30 years civil war, now we are actually experiencing a great increase in tourism industry. But before the East attack and the coronavirus pandemic, we were at a peak when considering tourism industry. But at the same time, the major impact on the industry towards environmental destruction was also increasing. Therefore, it is very important that tourism industry go for much sustainable strategies, and which will highlight their highlight their position as a sustainable industry, as well as they could safeguard the environment. So when considering sustainable tourism, Sri Lanka is now in the correct path, and there have been much efforts in the recent years, like within a decade time, towards much energy sustainable tourism practices. So Green in Sri Lankan Hotel is one such example, which was carried out in 2009 to 2013, and it has generated a much valued benchmark for the hotel industry, which was the first energy benchmark for the industry, which I have also used in my study. So moving on to my methodology, I have done the data collection using a data collection sheet, and data sources included data inventories, internal data sheets, bills, and receipts. And we have collected data from different divisions, including engineering division, housekeeping, front office, sustainability division, and the kitchen. And many professionals were interviewed, including chief engineers, maintenance engineers, sustainability executives, maintenance supervisors, executive chefs, and housekeeping officers. And when talking about the data analysis, absolute values were first constructed with the data gathered. We had to take all of these measures into one unit, because there were different sources which energy and AI emissions calculations and collection was done. And then we had to create resource productivity and pollution intensity indicators. Resource productivity is generated by dividing the product output by the unit of resource use. And pollution intensity, which means the air emission intensity, was calculated by dividing the pollution by the product output. Here, the product output is considered as a guest night, because hotel industry is a service providing industry and we don't have a specific product. So normally we can use a guest night or a room night for this purpose, and guest night was the much widespread use when it comes to literature about this area. So I have used that for my study as well. And then we have created RECP profiles, which means resource efficient cleaner production profile. This was used as the basic tool for the analysis and to compare the hotel's performance throughout the time period. So and then a basic energy breakdown was done, and the effect of occupancy on energy intensity was studied, and also a energy benchmarking was done according to the Sri Lankan Sustainable Energy Authority benchmarking. Thereafter, um, sorry, my screen got stuck. And then this is the description of the hotels under the study. There had been 6 hotels with different star categories ranging from 5-star to 3-star from different regions of the country. And in order to reduce the error of the age and the capacity can do to the results of the study, we have tried our best to keep the hotel age and room capacity around a similar level, which was very difficult to find because data gathering and collecting data was a difficult task, because some hotels are reluctant to give data. So we had to do a wide research to collect these data. Moving on to my discussion and results. So on your left, you can see the green practices done by the hotels in the study. So energy saving bulbs were the most common practice and which was seen in almost all the hotels. But occupancy sensors were not practiced in any of the hotels, and key cards to control, but on the other hand, key cards to control light and AC was visible in many hotels. And also, the use of renewable energy sources was much less, but biomass was the only energy source used in a wide range, and hotel B and C has used this to generate energy for their gasifiers. So you can see on your right, this graph shows how the hotels have deal with their energy intensity throughout the time period. So none of the hotels had not shown have shown much increase or decrease when it comes to energy consumption, but there's a very specific thing we can see in Hotel E, which was the only 3-star hotel under the study. The energy intensity values were much less. So this proved that energy intensity increases with the luxury level. So because in almost all the other hotels, there were boilers and some other high energy consuming measures, which were not in this 3-star hotel. And looking at the energy consumption by sources, we can see if you look at the hotels A and B, there is a huge there's a sudden decrease in 2017 of the grid electricity supply, and owing to that, generator diesel use has been increased. So this sudden increment in 2017 is due to the decrease in hydropower generation owing to the low rainfall and power cuts prevail throughout the country. So this is a good example to show how the effect of the grid electricity can differences in the grid electricity can affect the overall energy consumption of hotels. And looking at Looking at the renewable sources, we can see the only renewable sources used was biomass and solar power. When talking about solar power, it's also used in much less extent because they were only used in staff staff hostels and some few guest rooms, separate guest rooms, not throughout the hotel. And we were also able to do an energy breakdown. This was a basic energy breakdown because we were not able to get most of the details from all the hotels. So, and uh, submetering was not a widespread practice as we saw according to our study. So air conditioning contribute to around 64% of the total energy consumption, followed by cooking, which contributes to around 17%. And then moving to the occupancy effect, so we were able to generate some interesting results in this section because as you can see here in the graph at the right hand side, there were a lot of clearly visible peaks, and those are owing to the low occupancies, and this extrapolates a pattern with the seasonal tourist influx. So in the months of low tourism income, like from April to June and September to November, there were increase a huge increase, huge peaks in energy intensity was observed. So this is also very visible and interesting point. So, and moving on to air emissions, during the time period, most of the hotels have increased their pollution intensities, and this is because as you can see here in the below graph, grid electricity is contributing to a huge portion of air emissions in any hotel. So in an average, it is 61.78%. So the increasing in thermal factor in the grid electricity was visible with the time period, like from 2014 to 2015 to 2018. The thermal factor in the grid electricity has increased drastically. Therefore, the air emissions caused by the grid electricity has increased, and therefore the total air emissions of the hotel sector has increased drastically. So that was the findings of my research. And moving on to the conclusion, we can conclude that there was no continuous progress of hotel energy productivity in any hotel, while the higher luxury levels and low occupancies increase the energy intensity of hotels. On the other hand, air conditioning contributes to a huge portion of hotel energy usage, which was 64%, and imbalances in the national grid supply and increasing thermal factor in the national grid supply has affected the energy productivity and air emissions. Also, submetering and proper documentation was the most lacking part in many tourist hotels in the country. So we would like to recommend those as the best practices to be encountered in the coming years for a much better future in Sri Lankan tourism industry when it comes to energy consumption. So that is the end of my presentation. Thank you very much for your participation. Sorry, I can't hear anything. You're not audible to me. I don't know.
Okay, sorry for the technical matter. You
For some
mentioned that
reason, I can't hear you.
still. Now can you? No? Can you hear? No?
Uh, Sorry,
Okay.
sir, I can't hear you. Uh,
You just remove your headset from the computer. Okay. Can you hear now?
uh, can you bring the laptop? Wait, sir, I'll try from another device. Sorry for the inconvenience. I'll
Okay.
try from another device. Okay, sir.
Can you hear now?
Yes, sir.
All right. There is one suggestion for you. You mentioned that you try to use similar hotels, similar types. But when you consider about the hotels which maybe here and there, I mean, one is in Colombo, another one is in up country, another one is in down south, like that. Then the purpose of energy consumption may be not similar. At the say in Colombo hotels, they are using air conditioning. Most of the they are consuming energy consumption for air conditioning. But at the same time, the hotels which are in hill country, up country, they use for heating, like that. So that may be the difference. If you try to get the hotels from not from similar types, yes, but also if you try to compare hotels in the same area, right, similar area, it might be quite you can try actually next time. Okay, thank you very much for your
Thank you
presentation.
very much.
Right. Okay.